Ounce can, $3.39. Bone-in turkey breast, $1.69 per pound. Double stamp Sundays only at Super Value and Quality Supermarkets.
Peace 107.5 FM, the air of success.
We are in the 5 o'clock hour, and if it's 5 o'clock, it is hard copy. Hard Copy is a presentation of the McKinney Media Group. Copyrights 2016. All rights are reserved. The views, statements, and opinions of guests expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the views of the host, sponsors, or operators of this radio station. No part of this program may be copied or reproduced in full or in part without the express written consent of producers, the McKinney Media Group. This is Hard Copy on the McKinney Broadcasting Radio Network. Hard Copy, as you know, seeks to lay out the facts in simple fashion for the inclusion of all Bahamians and Bahamians at heart. The focus every day to move forthright in our manner to build a progressive and developing country. Our desire is for a Bahamas with a competent, skillful, and productive workforce. We want a country that can feed and sustain itself. We want a country with a brilliant visionary action plan that's ready to embrace a future of hope and prosperity. We encourage like-minded Bahamians to participate with intelligent and honest contributions. After all, we have a country to build, people. We've got jobs and industry to create. We've got a people to inspire and empower, and generations of born and unborn Bahamians we the people must protect and plan for. And if not you, then who? If not now, then when? Today on Hard Copy, the People's Movement. A movement whose time has come. This is Hard Copy. Lots of it coming ahead in just a minute.
Merry Christmas, Bahamas! Here's your gift from Commonwealth Bank.
My gift?
Yes, we're giving cash for Christmas. Get a new loan at 1% off our regular rate and enter to win up to $6,000 for the holidays. A new winner every week.
I love cash.
And for holiday shopping, get a new MasterCard with 2% cash back on every purchase.
I can get cash while giving gifts?
Exactly. So visit us today to get a new loan or credit card, plus extra cash for Christmas. Commonwealth Bank, your leader in personal banking services.
You must try the Banyas. Taste of the island. Made in the Bahamas. From the finest ingredients. The Banyas add spice to your life.
The Banyas Spices, distributing Bahamian spices and condiments worldwide. Visit our website at www.thebanyas.com or phone in your orders right now at 601-1065.
At Ron's Electric Motors, they repair and rewind all major brands of electric motors, including water pumps, generators, and the generator's back end, welding machines, electric lifts, air compressors, battery chargers, and more. They're equipped to handle up to 850 kilowatts and rewind up to 450 horsepower motors. They're conveniently located on the corner of Wolf and Clarence Roads and are open weekdays 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays till noon. They offer 24 hours emergency assistance. You can reach them at 242-356-0249.
If you haven't taken advantage of BTC's Pay and Win this month, there's still time. Win free phone credit when you pay your bill in full at any BTC store, EasyPay, or MyBTC app on November 24th and draw your free phone credit prize twice. It's a BTC double draw day on November 24th only. BTC, every day.
Start a career in healthcare in just 9 short months. Medical administrative assistant, patient care technician, pharmacy technician, phlebotomy technician, billing and coding specialist, and more. Healthcare careers are available now, and more new healthcare jobs are on the way. At Cybertech Career College, we are the proven leader in certified healthcare career training. That's why our graduates succeed. Train to begin your new career and start working in less than a year. Call Cybertech Career College now at 322-4223. That's 322-4223.
Has your property been damaged by Hurricane Matthew? Bank of the Bahamas understands, and we want to help you recover. Our hurricane relief plan provides several options to facilitate home repairs, vehicle, and furniture replacement due to storm damage. Take advantage of our low interest rates and up to 60 months repayment via salary deduction. Bank of the Bahamas is committed to your recovery. Come in and speak with one of our credit professionals today. Applicants must meet normal lending criteria. VOB, your bank of solutions.
The next election in the Bahamas will be the most serious election in our history. You better mark it.
All I can say, if the BME don't watch out, if the PLP actually gets back in power, this country will definitely not belong to us.
You said if the PLP get back in to run, what country you talking about? Not the Bahamas?
The DNA had their function on Christie Park, right? They had about 400 people, right? I was down with the PLP fair. They had about 5,000 people. Let me tell you something. Pressure, push it down on me, pressing down on you. No man has fallen.
This election, I go right back to my property. This election is going to be one we have never seen before. Terry Christie wants a third time around. The Lord is allowing him to go this way, to embarrass him, to shame him, and everybody that is following him.
To realize and to know what this country can do under the last 4 years is ridiculous.
The PLP is in a dangerous position right now, in my opinion. If you look at all the suspicious deals and moving around that they've been doing, I was sure people would be called up for treason.
Everybody, as a Bahamian, has rallied around a prime minister that they can trust.
It is Thursday, the 24th day in the month of November 2016, as you battle the congested city streets in drive home traffic. We have mostly sunny skies for you today. 76 degrees right now in the nation's capital, 72 degrees the overnight low, and a 10% chance of rain in the forecast. Thank you so much for joining us for the drive home. I'm Steve McKinney. This is Hard Copy. We're brought to you today by Lavania's Spices and Manufacturing Limited, BTC. This is BTC Country. Sunburst Paints. You can buy one and get one free, they tell me. Commonwealth Bank. Cybertech Direct College, Easy Life, the new online shopping craze, Bahamian Brewery and Beverages, Colleen Insurance with comprehensive coverage, Super Wash, Wash, Eat, and Relax at Super Wash, 9 locations. Bank of the Bahamas, the Bank of Solutions, Super Value, the All Bahamian Supermarkets. We're also brought to you by Advantage Insurance and Brokers, 61 Collins Avenue, best insurance in town. Ron's Electric Motors, Barge and Wolf Road. Kalina Financial Advisors Limited, CFAL. Executive Printers on Jerome Avenue. The R.E. Cooper Awards Banquet in December. And McKinney Media Group for the best results in advertisements. Call me today, 325-0235 or 6, 325-0252 or 53. Also, you can WhatsApp and text me at 376-9234. Follow us on the World Wide Web, peace1075.com. Cable Top Box 970, TuneIn Radio, iPad, iPhone, and the Android. Also visit us on Facebook and on Twitter every day. That's what's happening. Anyway, my friends, today we take a look at some other areas of leadership. You know, we've been talking about leadership, and we've been talking about In Search of a Leader for the last few days, and of course, it's been quite interesting. Today, I feature the People's Movement. And this is the group that some people have put a lot of stake in. And a lot of people have been looking for them and looking to them to provide the kind of leadership that this country is in desperate need of. We're going to talk with them in a minute. But a lot of things are happening just before this whole matter of the People's Movement come to the fore today as our featured topic for the day, and talk about that in earnest in a minute. You know what's happening right now? They are getting ready to march in Abaco tomorrow on Black Friday. It's sweeping across the country. They're getting ready to march in Grand Bahama. This seems to be sweeping across the country. It's Black Friday. They're getting ready to march on Andros. And I heard from Eleuthera today who are looking at doing something. And also, they're getting ready to march in large numbers here in New Providence, the capital city, Nassau. They're going to march from 1 o'clock until however long it takes to get down to Parliament Square. And they're going to register a lot of their feelings. It's a lot of things, a combination of things, a variety of things, a consortium of things, a litany of things, everything that you can think of. There is a problem in the country for the most part, and everybody is wanting to have their say. So it's almost like voting day. It's almost like people are coming out to express themselves and register themselves on Bay Street to throw a blow, to say, look, we are sick and tired of the whole 9 yards. There are some who are going to be marching because they don't like how this environment has been treated. There are some who are marching because they don't like these deals they hear about involving foreign territories on our soil. There are others who are marching because this illegal migration problem is just a little bit overwhelming. There are others who are marching because the government of the Bahamas has really been in the pits this time around. They've not performed up to par, and people want them gone. There are a number of people who are marching because they have a problem with this education system. It is not working. A number of people are marching because there are people who have been irresponsible in the parliament, and they have just shaked off and shrugged off all their responsibilities of being a good representative. People are marching for many reasons. What are you marching for? There must be something. There are people who are marching because they don't like the fact that Bahamians are considered second and third class citizens in their own country. There are people who are marching because they don't like the fact that they have not gotten anything in the area of land reform or anything with generation property by a government who would promise them all of these things. There are many who are marching because they have no jobs. Young people are marching because, they say 18 to 35-year-olds are 37% of unemployed. They're marching, friends. They're marching across the country. What's interesting about this thing is that they are marching and the world is watching. They're marching and they're making, I suppose, focus and comparisons to what happened in other parts of the world in this changing times. They're marching. And there's nobody who can stop them from marching. I mean, white people are marching. Black people are marching. Brown people are marching. Bahamians are marching. Jamaicans are marching. Everybody is marching because there's a problem. And somehow we are beginning to see the big picture. There are people who are marching because they have no citizenship. People who are marching because they have no status. People who are marching because they cannot put monies in banks' accounts because of the fact that they have no passport. They have no status. They're marching, friends. And this march has been a situation that's it's a great infection. It's infectious. Everyone who says that I'm marching, it has caused a whole group of people to just come together and says, let's put down our differences be on one accord to march because things just ain't right. And so tomorrow on Black Friday, people are coming together. Simultaneous march is going to happen because it will ricochet from Grand Bahama to Abaco and then all here and resonate here in New Providence. And there are people who have decided that they're on half day. The march starts at 1 o'clock and the march goes from Fort Charlotte here in New Providence to Bay Street. It's a peaceful march. It's a march of protest. It's a march of people wearing black. It's a march to bring our country to a sober point of here we are. What do we do with what we're supposed to be, with where we're supposed to be going? And all of these things are some things for us to contemplate, to focus on, to get sober about, to understand the issues. Now, there are others in the government who may march as well. What they are marching for may be a number of things that they have problems with. It's a protest march, peaceful. not violent, organized, not disorderly, and the state of the Bahamas has to look on and observe. And those in authority of this country must stand and observe and take in and try to recalculate and try to fix a matter in this country that must be fixed. Can it be fixed? Or is it that much broken now? Is this the beginning of the end? All of these things flood one's mind when it comes to what's happening. And that's why, people feel that this is it. People feel that this is it, friends. If you're not marching, you got to check yourself. It has to be something that will compel you to take a stand and say, you know what? If only I'm marching to say enough is enough, I must march. And so having said that, the matter is set. The time is 1 o'clock. The place is the Bahamas. The world is watching. Facebook is watching. WhatsApp is watching. Twitter. All of these places and things and technology that will take this march to the world. There are people who are marching against crime. There are people who are marching against just a poor economy. I believe, friends, tomorrow when the people come together, I think this is it. What are you going to do? This is Hard Copy.
Are you gonna wait for a sign? Your miracle. Stand up and fight. This is it. Make no mistake where you are. This is it. Your back's to the corner. This is it. Don't be a fool anymore. This is it. The waiting is over. No room to run. No way to hide. No time for wondering why. It's here. The moment is now. About to decide.
This is Hard Copy. When we return with the People's Movement. Paul Moss, John Pinder. We got lots to talk about. Are they going to help to reset this country? We're in search of leadership. Is this it? Leadership? We're back in a minute on Hard Copy Live.
You said that maybe it's over. Not if you don't want it to be. Oh, what's in your love? Here's your miracle. Stand up and fight. This is it. Make no mistake where you are. This is it. You're going over.
Want a better financial future? Seize the day. Is it crazy to think about retirement when you're this young? C-File says it would be crazy not to think about it. Seize the day. Make your future happen now. Set goals, build wealth, and create the life of your dreams. C-File can get you started. Visit cfile.com to find a savings or investment plan right for you. C-File. Seize your future.
Dribbles, chins, and trouble. Those are the doubles you don't want. Double stamp Sundays at Super Value and Quality Supermarket. Now that's a winner. Fresh tomatoes, $1.39 per pound. Dole pineapples to 20-ounce size, $1.99. Pillsbury cake mixes, 15 1/4 ounce, and frosting, 453-gram mix or match, 2 for $5. Bluebird selected juices, 46-ounce can, $3.39. Bone-in turkey breast, $1.69 per pound. Double stamp Sundays only at Super Value and Quality Supermarkets.
Based on the premise of anything you can do, we can do better in the Bahamas. The Bahamian Brewery is 100% Bahamian owned and operated. Proud Bahamians making good traditional brews in Grand Bahama, then bottling and shipping throughout our islands. Our thanks to you, Bahamas, for supporting our family of beers and beverages. Sands Light, High Rock, Strong Back, Bush Crack, Sands Pink Rattler, and Triple B. brewed and bottled here and consumed right here in our Bahamas. Now that's truly Bahamian. The Bahamian Brewery encourages all of its fans to drink in moderation.
Deck the halls with cash for Christmas. Fa la 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 la. I want big cash.
At Commonwealth Bank, our customers are singing about cash for Christmas. That's because we're giving away over $6,000 in cash prizes on new holiday loans at special rates. A new winner every week.
More cash back, cash back every day.
Plus, get 2% cash back on holiday shopping with a new MasterCard. So visit us today to get a new loan or credit card, plus extra cash for Christmas. Commonwealth Bank, your leader in personal banking services.
There's a new way to do your shopping online that's hassle-free, will save you time, and no extra fees. Introducing Easy Life. That's EZZY Life. This is how online shopping should be. Shop for a vast range of consumer products and then have them all delivered to a pickup point in Nassau. You make your payment at Big Yard Shipping on Village Road. It's as simple as that. What makes us different? All prices displayed are the final cost. No additional charges for international, local, customs duty, or even shipping charges. That's right. The prices you see displayed on the checkout card is the final price you pay. Simple and easy. So, nice and easy does it every time. For more information, call 326-7200.
Nice and easy does it every time.
The Ari Cooper Senior National Service Award encapsulates the vision of an educated and progressive Bahamas following our independence. Join us to honor those with commonality of service at the Imperial Room of Atlantis on Friday, December 9th at 7 p.m. Special international guests include Father George Clements, Dr. Zenona Clayton, gospel icon Dr. Bobby Jones, and TV personality Judge Glenda Hatchett. Don't miss this historic occasion. For further information, contact the Mission Baptist Church at 322-5950.
Executive Printers. We're professionals. At Executive Printers, we do not participate in trash talk. We concern ourselves with the accuracy and security of your laser check. That is why we put 15 securities on your laser checks. This is not trash. This is fact. It makes fraud almost impossible. Call us today at Executive Printers at 393-5011 or email us at sales@epbahamas.com. That's sales@epbahamas.com. Executive Printers. Laser checks. We do them right.
If you haven't taken advantage of BTC's Pay and Win this month, there's still time. Win free phone credit when you pay your bill in full at any BTC store, EasyPay, or My BTC app on November 24th and draw your free phone credit prize twice. It's a BTC double draw day on November 24th only. BTC, every day.
Cybertech Career College urges you to prepare now for the BGCSE examinations, especially if you are disappointed in the results of the past exams you took. Cybertech is here to help. Don't wait for the last minute. Enroll now at Cybertech and be prepared. Call Cybertech Career College at 322-4223. That's 322-4223. You can do a whole lot better and get the results you want in the next sitting of the BGCSE examinations.
At Ron's Electric Motors, they repair and rewind all major brands of electric motors, including water pumps, generators and the generator's back end, welding machines, electric lifts, air compressors, battery chargers, and more. They're equipped to handle up to 850 kilowatts and rewind up to 450 horsepower motors. They're conveniently located on the corner of Wolf and Clarence Roads and are open weekdays 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays till noon. They offer 24 hours emergency assistance. You can reach them on 242-356-0249.
Commonwealth Bank is giving you more convenient, reliable, and personal banking solutions, and now full-service Saturday banking at its Wolf Road branch. That's right, 7 Saturday banking locations to better serve you. Commonwealth Bank Plaza Branch, Mackey Street, Oaksfield Branch, Prince Charles Drive Branch, Cable Beach Branch, Golden Gates Branch, the Mall Drive Branch, Freeport Grand Bahama, and now Wolf Road Branch. Commonwealth Bank is open 6 days a week to better serve you and every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Commonwealth Bank, leader in personal banking services.
You must try the Banyas. Taste of the island. Made in the Bahamas. From the finest ingredients. The Banyas add spice to your life.
The Banya Spices, distributing Bahamian spices and condiments worldwide. Visit our website at www.thebanyas.com or phone in your orders right now at 601-1065. On June the 7th, the people spoke loud and clear. The voice of the people is the voice of God. We, the people, are now in a God-inspired moment.
God is saying the time for a new leadership has been birthed. It has arrived.
It beckons a righteous movement of the people as the nation is on the precipice of a new beginning, covered in the principles, values, and supremacy of God. Let us, we the people, who desire a new Bahamas, move as one united force of God and country. The time is now. The people's movement.
And I am John Boston, and I'm ready to assist in the redesign of the new Born Free Bahamas.
For more information, contact info@thepeoplesmovement.net.
When Steve talks, everybody listen. The government does move quick. They're afraid that he got this. Them on hard coffee, hard coffee, hard coffee, hard coffee with Steve McKinney. Steve means business, you know that for sure. On Mondays through Fridays, Steve will give you the score on hard coffee, hard coffee, hard coffee with Steve McKinney. Da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da. Hard coffee with Steve McKinney.
Welcome back. This is Hard Copy on a Thursday, and a good day to talk about where we're going in the country on leadership and everything else. Because the people have been in search of a leader for a little while, and not only that, in search of good leadership, righteous leadership, a right kind of leadership, a leadership that can kind of turn things in the direction of what the people want. And a lot of times, politicians and civic leaders in every organization, sometimes they forget that most things would happen must happen from the people. If it comes from the people, it is for real. And of course, sometimes when it comes from the people, and most times when it comes from the people, it is focused, it is determined, and really the truth is people follow through because it is of the people, for the people, and by the people. These used to be the hallmarks of many organizations, political organizations in this country. And once upon a time, they resonated with people like nothing else. We are right back there. 40-some years later, the people of this country are in a position of saying, we don't know where we really are. We don't feel that we're being led in the right direction. We know that we are expecting more, and we know that what we feel is not it. It has to be more. And more people have been left to the side and left to suffer and look at their own problems, and they feel all by themselves. The people feel that we are alone. And when people feel that way, that we are alone, they look to anyone who is willing to provide the kind of leadership. They look for groups and they look for people to say, look, are we of the same mindset? Are we of like minds? Can we do something? And oftentimes there's an answer. But in this dispensation of time, it seems as if they're looking hard and they're looking long and there is no answer. Well, there's a burning desire for leadership in our country. The people are looking and searching everywhere to fill this void. Can the people of the Bahamas find such leaders? in a time to take our people into the next Bahamas, as has been foretold by world-renowned author, preacher, and teacher, Dr. Miles Monroe. Most people believe that the time has come. The time is now, they say. There are people who vividly recall June the 7th, 2016. It was the beginning of the people's movement on a righteous course. Referendum Day. It started then. It continues now as thousands will be mobilized and converge in the Parliament Square, for an epic event. That epic event is called Black Friday. We're in the midst of history one more time. Is this the long, slow march? One has to ask now, is this the long, slow march to a better and brighter day? We shall see. We certainly are hopeful. And with that, we welcome Paul Moss to the show today, John Pinder to the show today, and they are here because they represent the steering group of the People's Movement, a movement people believe whose time has come, and a group that is now formulated in such a way that they have taken their time building and molding and shaping the kind of message to be on page with the Bahamian people. And this is the only group that I've spoken to in all the politics of the country that in fact got their mandate from the people. And that tells me that maybe their time has come. We want to welcome you, Paul Moss. We want to welcome you, John Pinder. How you doing today?
I'm good, Steve. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Good afternoon. Good to be here, Steve.
Well, the thing about it now is that people are looking, they're searching. What do you think the people are looking for, Paul Moss?
I think, quite frankly, the people are looking for themselves. They're looking for people who look like themselves and who represent the things that they care about. And when one looks at what is out there right now and having regard for the low voter registration, one could come to the conclusion that they have not seen that what they look for. And we believe that we in the People's Movement, we are that, because we are made up of the people who actually birthed this movement. It was not birthed by anyone. No one could take credit for it. It was really a crystallization, as I see it, surrounding around June 7th, which was the day of the referendum. The people began to really believe that they could do this thing. They were able to defeat the establishment with all of its money, all of its resources, all of its influential people. The people defeated them. And now what you even see this week, or which we will all experience tomorrow, is an example of that, where the people now see that we could mobilize ourselves and we could do this thing. And this is the result of that. So we believe that the people are looking for themselves, and we believe that we are that what they're looking for.
John Pinder, you have been to the forefront like Paul, and you've been able to see firsthand the expectation of Bahamians who have been longing for something. What is your impression of what they've been longing for? And can this People's Movement, as you call it, the TPM, can they provide to fill this void, this emptiness that seems to exist, that's across the country, that people are saying, look, something has got to give? What do you see that they're looking for, and can it be filled?
Yes, I certainly believe it can be filled. I believe they're looking for this paradigm shift in our parliamentary system. I believe people want to see something new. The way we've been doing business in our country is not benefiting the Bahamians. So I believe they want to see something that they can benefit from, something tangible. I believe they recognize that we have a wealth, a whole very valuable resources that they're not being able to tap into to get any benefits from. We see other persons coming to our country become multi-millionaires. We see companies that are billionaires of our own natural resources, and we're not benefiting. We're getting the crumbs from the table. So I believe our people is really ready now for something brand new. And I think the People's Movement is bringing something new. why we don't have the kind of financial resources that these guys have to their disposal in terms of certain places that would give them the millions of dollars in donation. I believe the Bahamians are sick and tired of being bought out. This little short-term fix, and then they catch them for 4.5 years, then they give them another 6-month fix. I think they have now waken up. I think they're smart now. I think they're Googling stuff. I think when we speak now, they're able to verify what we're saying. So they know we're not talking from the top of our head, so we're not no hot air. We are speaking factual, realistic things that can happen to bring economic freedom to Bahamians. I believe they want to live in a safer country. I believe they want to be exposed to more educational opportunities. They're looking for more vocational schools so that everybody in the Bahamas can have a trade. No more guys who are unemployable because they don't have any skill sets. I believe they're looking for a better healthcare system that is affordable, that is more reliable. And I certainly believe that they want economic opportunities in their countries and in this country. And so certainly if we bring the plan to the Bahamian people that can bring about all those things in a realistic way, and they can check it out for themselves.
I know that you have specific plans that you have. You've got succinct plans that you will roll out eventually within the movement. But I have to ask you this question now, because people have been hearing, they're talking. There was a columnist who wrote some wonderful things with the prospects of perhaps the people's movement, and later on that maybe this is the dark horse in this whole thing that's happening now. Because there's some points that she made mention of, and that is that there's a righteous movement kind of play on what is happening here. The people want better. They want what is good. They want what is godly. They want what our forefathers saw way back then and laid out in the Constitution of the Bahamas and in the preamble of our whole making. They saw some things for their heirs and successors to be inheritors of in this country. And that's all the wealth and national resources that you had been speaking about. But what of men of grit, Paul Moss, John Pinder, men of grit, that the people's movement will have to anchor and find, like those early pioneers in Bahamian history, who were men of worth, men of valor, who in fact decided that no matter what come, they are standing and they're standing strong. Do we have that kind of men, that kind of grouping that we can rely on as far as people who are committed to a movement whose time has come? What of the strong men, Paul?
Absolutely. There are not just strong men, there are very strong women in this movement. I am amazed. I am absolutely staggered when I see and sit in meetings with the strong Bahamian women of this country who love this country just like those strong men you described, who are putting their necks on the line, putting their thumbprint on the plans because they understand what nationhood is. So we have those men. In fact, just today, sitting with those men who would be considered iconic in this country, who recognize that they cannot go that way anymore. They must go in a 180-degree direction. And that's where the country needs to go. We have those men. I think the people would be pleasantly surprised to see the kind of people that we do have. Some have name recognition that they do have, but we do have others who are not even known. And I think that we are not put off by that. We are encouraged by that because we recall a prophecy by Dr. Miles Monroe when he said that we will see leaders that we've never seen before. And that's what we're experiencing up and down, all around. That's what we're experiencing. So we believe that those men are there. And when I spoke to one today, I said to him, look, I was not around at majority rule. I do not know what the spirit was. But in reading the history of it and living how I am today, I believe that these are similar. And he said, you're absolutely right. These are the times. And so like many people, like, for example, Dr. Elwood Donaldson, who is engaged and employed by the government of the Bahamas, who continued to work even up to the point of December of 1966 to contest an election in January of 1967. That is what we're finding, that people who are engaged in the public employ are saying, we are going to do this. we believe we must do this. Because oftentimes, I always use this, the thing that we try to hold on to is the exact thing that we lose. And so people will try to hold on to their jobs on the belief that, well, I can't get involved, I can't do this, even though I feel strongly about it, because I have my job and I don't want to be victimized. When in fact, they get victimized.
So
And
this
is what's going on, and we suspect that this is going to be a march to the election, people coming on board, just as we witnessed from June 7th.
Yeah.
We've seen it. We fill halls. We've done that. We've done it the correct way. We have not gotten out ahead of ourselves to appoint leaders and condescend on people. We say that the people must vote for the leaders directly, because this movement is theirs and they must be a part of it, not the way these political parties adopt themselves today.
A lot of things have happened here over the last few months. Of course, the people's movement came together, and you said that they had their moments. They did a number of things. They have left a lot of people impressed. There are a lot of evangelicals, a lot of Christian people, a lot of people with good mindsets who want to have the high moral ground, who have gravitated to the people's movement. There's a columnist who says that can make a big difference, and a columnist of reputation, that could make a big difference in this upcoming general elections. How do you both feel about that part of it? Because a number of people have always counted out evangelicals, they've counted out people of the Christian value, the Christian virtue, yet the country has been built on the values of Christianity, on the values of God being our supreme being. How do you think that could work out in a movement like this, that want to see the forward movement of a nation that's blessed, inspired, motivated by the things of God in a political setting that can change the whole thing around? How do you see that?
Well, let me say, Steve, first of all, you have known that our movement started from the ground up. All we did was listen to people like yourself and persons calling your talk show and making recommendations. That's how the whole thing started. And let me take this opportunity to also clarify this gatekeepers thing. The gatekeepers was attached to everybody who voted no in the last referendum. I believe it's safe to say that. Because of the gate being the symbol, and persons who voted no. So there were PLP gatekeepers, there were F&M gatekeepers, there were DNA gatekeepers, and there were people's movement gatekeepers. So there's not no one group of gatekeepers. So
the gatekeepers is a general term used from a biblical perspective, and that is what happened right here live in history on this show. It happened right here on this show.
Right, because I don't want people to mix that up. A lot of times people look at and listen to what Pastor Jeremiah Duncan vision is, which is what the people's movement is. Okay. As a result of that, certainly the Christian community, who also believe, based on the prophecy of Dr. Miles Monroe, that they ought to now step up to the plate. Too often, the politicians rely on the churches to be elected. They go in the church, and they campaign in the church. They ask the pastor of the church to allow them to speak to the congregations. They have pastors come and pray during their rallies. And at the end of the day, they don't want the church to be involved in the governings. But I believe the church has woken up now, and they've recognized that they play a role in this country, a very, very important biblical role in this country the church has to play. And so when you have a nation of believers getting together and assisting or guiding a political process, it only could be blessed. It only could be profitable. It only could manifest itself.
Understood.
And so persons have gained respect for the people's movement on those grounds. Let me also mention the fact that we are in talks with another established political group in terms of us seeing how we can work together to ensure that at the end of the day, we get the same results that we're both looking for. All right. I don't wish to call a name at this time, but I think you know exactly who I'm speaking to. One who was in meetings with us in the very beginning.
Understood.
But occasionally things went that way. So we are satisfied that this is a God-sent movement, that this is really ordained by God. And we have pastors who had revelations about this even after Dr. Miles Monroe prophecy. And so he's at the center of how we build this whole thing. And that is what causes things to last. Because the Bible will tell you only what it's done for Christ will last. So we believe that in spite of the fact that people believe we should have already been out knocking on doors and doing what we have to do. We've done a lot of stuff through social media. But we will certainly start full force to knock on doors very soon. We just wanted to make sure when we come out, we have all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed, ensure that we present something that Bahamian people can understand, simple, that they can look at, read, understand, Google, check it out, and know that it is something that they can work with. We just want to give them something acceptable to them.
What is interesting here is that, Paul Moss, it seems like the whole movement, the spirit of the movement, like some spirit has been lit from the 7th of June that incorporates all the elements of the people's movement and its focus. And it seems like that spirit has been lit to the point where you are mobilizing things and it's taking on a life of its own. I heard John saying about how they may knock on doors, but this movement that has happened has been a sweeping movement that is just happening, and it has its own life.
It has its own life, and it certainly has its genesis in the referendum. For example, many of us who coalesce now around this movement have been into churches prior to the referendum, speaking on the issues of the referendum, the so-called gender referendum, equality referendum, which we know it was not. Many of the churches began to understand. Churches took part. There are many pastors who told their congregation, what should happen and how they ought to look at some issues, and those people did that. That was not anything that we could take credit for.
No, sir.
We can't take credit for the mood of this country, what is going on. When I could go to my son's basketball game and be pulled aside with people talking about us and talking about what are we doing, when is it going to happen, and they support us. That's not, we can't take credit for that. We believe that by being faithful and by being obedient, we are really going to reap the harvest. And I believe that those men and women prior to 1967 was similar. They did not have all of the resources. They could not have the reins of government.
Absolutely.
They had historically been on the outside.
They were at a disadvantage. They had no money. They had no name in many cases.
That's right.
All they had was a movement of people who believed that their time would come.
That's right. And they had praying men and women of God.
Absolutely.
Who was travailing for them day and night on their knees, ushering in that movement that took place. This is exactly what's happening today. I mean, I am amazed. I am humbled by it, actually, when I see the amount of pastors and prayer warriors who are praying for this organization. And that's how I know. I said, man, this thing is just great, because you have people and other parties who've been out there.
Yes, trying everything.
Right. And now
little traction
on the lips of the people. We're talking about the people's movement.
That's quite amazing, because as we talk here, I listened to some of the various shows that you all would have made appearances on, and certainly there's a focus of who you got, that kind of stuff, and what you can do and all that, because they're so used to the regular way of things happening, this concocted way and concocted view of what should happen. The truth be told is that the movement is so strong and the movement is so ever present that it has its own life. And so when I see that you come to a show like mine, I simply want to ask you about that evangelical, that Christian kind of play in it, because obviously if a great writer like Catherine Kelly, who writes a column in The Punch where everybody reads these things, if she can decipher, look at some things, and even though people may figure that she was negative, the silver lining is that she sees a dark horse.
That's correct.
If you can understand that. And she sees a dark horse based upon what? Based upon the fact that there is a want for the righteous kind of thing. There's a want to do good. There's a want for a high moral ground.
Right.
And it had its genesis in the referendum. And now it is taken on a life. Look at what is happening now. There's a movement that has happened. It's all from the people, that people are marching from all around their respective locales to say something. They want to say something. They come to say something. They will go to say something. And that saying something means to me that the time really has come, because now the people want to speak. In other words, the gathering, there's a gathering that's happening.
Absolutely.
The gathering is happening, and that can be of Paul Moss, that can be of John Pinder, that can be of anybody else. That has to be of our Almighty God, the gathering. See, because In his own time, these things
In his
happen.
time.
In his own time, and we don't understand it. So that's what I've been inundated, Paul Moss, John Pinder, every day by text. I sometimes don't say anything about it. Inundated by this want, this urge.
Yes.
Let's go. What's happening? What's happening? Let's go.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, what is this? So when I look at it and I see that, boy, these people are really wanting it, I start to say, well, this has to work, because if people want it, they will feel they will make it happen. That's the next common step.
Because
if
they
you want
own
it, they will make it happen.
Because they own it.
Yeah.
They're actually a part of it. I mean, this movement is so incredible. Oftentimes, for example, you will have political parties that will put out what their agenda is, or put out what they call their platform or their plans. And it's a top-down effect. It is not going into the communities and finding out what the people want,
right?
How they want to be dealt with. So it is this movement that spoke about the granting of crown land to every single citizen. It is this movement. Why? We know that this is what the people want. Why? Because they've said this is what they want.
Right. This is a swell from the ground.
This is a swell from the ground. They know that there are people in this country taking advantage on exploiting the environment and exploiting the natural resources, and they know that they could be a part of it, because that could be an issue that really wipes away our deficit, our debt. They know that this is amenable to them. So they are engaged in it. They see themselves in it. Never before the people see, ordinary people believe that they could be a part of a system until June 7th. When June 7th came around, everyone began to believe that this is possible, that we could defeat them, that we have defeated them. And the church became involved, because the church recognized that, hey, every Sunday or Saturday, we have people before us. Our influence is great. And when those church leaders were marginalized and sidelined like they were of no importance, I think you refer to them as the small guys. And then you had the big bishops, the oligarchy telling the people and the population, this is the way you should go. This makes sense. And others calling them silly and stupid. I think that a line was drawn. And the church now recognized that they have a stake, that they have to be accountable to God. And that is why the congregations are going out and calling and praying for the success of this movement, because they recognize it is not of anybody else but God who started it.
Now, what do you envision for this movement? Let's say here's a movement that's happening. It's sweeping across the country. It's bringing all kinds of people from all different backgrounds and ethnicities and nationalities and religion. Is bringing them together. What do you see in your mind's eye? What do you see in the vision of what is supposed to happen? When you look at all that Dr. Miles Monroe talked about, do you see a connection to that kind of prophecy, to that kind of focus of a new Bahamas? Do you see, and what do you see in this whole dispensation of a new Bahamas? Because it sounds pretty, it sounds exciting, it makes me excited, but what do you see as leadership of this particular movement? What do you see happening for the people
main thing
of
I
this
see,
country?
Steve, is Bahamians looking for a government that's caring. They don't feel as though this government cares about them. We want to be able to show Bahamians that we care for you, we care for our country, we care for our natural resources, based on what we will present. Our platform will speak to how we take care of Bahamians. Okay, that's number one. The second thing is, I think they really want some God-fearing people. Okay, we don't want. I think the time has passed where you have people who, are trying to be smarter than the Creator. For example, we talk about this capital punishment. Okay, there's people who have all kinds of different beliefs on this. Well, we know for sure it's on the books, and we really believe if it's on the books, you should execute it or remove it off the books. You may not be inclined to want to support the capital punishment by hanging. Maybe there may be another method of capital punishment may be acceptable to the people. But these are the kind of referendums you take to the people. Do you want us to remove capital punishment? Do you want to remove hanging as the capital punishment, or you want a different form of capital punishment? I think people want to be a part of the decision-making process.
Absolutely.
And so that's why when we have our meetings, we allow people to come and talk to us. We're not going to have rallies all the time where people you go there and you're telling the people what the deal is, and you can't get no feedback from them. But I might be telling you something.
It's an emotional
that you're not
roller
supporting.
coaster, an emotional high.
So we want to just throw the ball out there and let the people feed off it, bounce the ball around. You come up with the ideas. This is what you said. This is how we think we can best present this in the best interest of our country. And so I see more people getting involved. Right now, there's a slow voter registration turnout, and I believe that's simply because people are not impressed with nothing that has been presented so far. And so a lot of people, like you say, are approaching me all the time, man, when you're coming out. As a matter of fact, they just call it tea party. You still have a tea party? You know? I say, yeah, well, we still working together in the best interest of our country. I say, Steve is a, citizen that has concerns and he cares for our country. So we're just trying to combine our caring efforts in the best interest of Bahamians. We don't knock the fact that every country wants foreign investment, but you don't have to sell your country out. You don't have to take the very birthright of your citizens and give it away or sell it. There are ways you can work with foreign investors to ensure that at the end of the day it's a win-win situation for your country, the citizens, and the person who's investing.
No question about it.
We have those kind of plans. And we have an expert in Paul Moss who deals with international investment. He knows that's how to bring this thing to the table. But people ain't listening. The government isn't listening to citizens who have ideas. We send our kids to school to get educated. And then when they come back with some ideas, you tend to hit them, there's such more than your name called. So it doesn't make any sense. So what's happening? Our people are educated, younger generation is staying in Canada and staying in the United States. And they're trying to get into Canada right now. Canada's advertising. They have on internet where you can go and Google positions in Canada, attractive paying positions. We know Canada has a good healthcare system. Canada doesn't have the kind of crime you have in the Bahamas, so people will run to live in a safe environment. We need to make the Bahamas safe so our students can come back home and make a valuable contribution to the development of our country.
Paul Moss, how are you going to get the students home? How are you going to get people who have left this country to come back home? How are you going to infect them with your ideas, the people's movement ideas that would make them say, you know something, it's time to go home. Let me pick up my Georgie bundle and be a part of the gathering. How will you do that? What are some of those things that you have in your mind and the People's Movement's platform to attract the brain drain back to the Bahamas to rebuild the country? Because I remember the whole focus of this was to rebuild, to start over again, to rebuild our nation, and you're going to need all hands on deck. How do you do that? Because that is a major plank in any political party's operation.
I'll say this, that first of all, we would not be jealous of the persons who live abroad, the Bahamians who live abroad, who have done well, who are sitting in corporations and making things happen around the globe. We won't be jealous of them. We will invite them home. We will invite them and say to them that your ideas will not be rejected, that we will not treat you as you have been treated, or the reason why you have not come back home or have left the Bahamas. You will be included. And part of that is to give them a head start. And this is why we say that those people would be entitled to crown land. In fact, we call it people's land.
Yeah.
They'll be entitled to it. We'll have to give them that kind of incentive so they could come back, because this country belongs to all of us. There's not a single human being on this planet that has all of the ideas. God created us in a way that we have to be dependent. I could not come into the studio and do what you do. Could never happen. We need you. We need those kinds of people. And that is how we're going to get those people back. Those ideas must be implemented. They know how to negotiate. They know how to put the deals together. They know where the resources are, where the funding may be. Those people deal in it. And so we bring them back. They're part of it. And we embrace everybody. This cannot be a situation where you have these people who have been now second and third generation politicians from their families who took over.
A dynasty.
A dynasty. It cannot be that anymore. Because one of the things we got out of majority rule was that the Bahamas was educated. And men and women struggle and sacrifice for their children. Some even send them abroad, working at the straw market, working taxi cabs. They struggled, they did it. And now their children are on par. Education is a great equalizer. So even though some people had a head start by being born into wealth or born into influence, education equalizes that. That's the ground level that we want. We want to bring those people in to allow them to be a part of the stake. So this is why it goes back to what Miles Monroe prophesied that you will see people that you've never seen before, but the ideas will be second to none, because we have found those people who have the ideas and who will make it happen for this country, so that we could tap in, we could leverage, and we could have the best country that we could be. So, for example, over the last 50 years, we've had this thing called exchange control that operates and continues to operate as a yoke, a burden on the backs of the Bahamian people. And when you look at it, the people that we invite into this country does not have that kind of obstacle. They could come in here, get residency here, have a work permit here, and still have all of their currencies. In fact, they could go out and tap into that to borrow money to come and operate a business in this jurisdiction. I had a client who got a loan from one of the Canadian banks, and this interest rate on his mortgage was 1%. 1% on the US dollar, 1%. And if any Bahamian and people who understand what I'm saying go to a bank right now and try to get a mortgage, they're fighting. And they believe that they got a good deal when they get 7.5%.
My Lord.
Yeah. They believe they are ecstatic.
You're telling me under the focus of a new beginning that these things will be considered and wiped away and removed. You're telling me that exchange control will be something that
it's a past, it's history.
The Bahamians will then now be able to partner, get the kind of monies that they want to do the kind of things that they want to do, and develop the resources that we do have in this country.
Yeah, when you show them how this could be done, just to add to what Paul is saying, I think once we create opportunities, educated students who go on abroad will want to come back home because they know they can find gainful employment that will pay them an attractive salary. Okay, you can't have people coming in the public and frustrated who have master's degree. Right now, I was talking to one of our managers in the public service or a quasi-government agency. There's a certain lady who's in a government agency with a master's degree and a BA degree, and she's making about $21,000 per annum. Another government agency wants her service, and the person who can make the decision is sitting on that decision because they didn't know she can make too much money, and then they start saying that. So these are the things that frustrate young, qualified Bahamians. We cannot have that in our country. So we need to ensure that there's a level playing field, that they have opportunities. And Paul kind of just does not outline one for you. So when Bahamians can look at it and say, wow, we see these saying it makes sense. Not just talking, here. That's why I try as best I can when I'm on these shows to repeat certain things. When we talk about the natural resources, and we normally talk about the aragonite, the one that we know has much value, the one that we know cannot be depleted, okay? And people say, well, how are you going to build an economy of aragonite? Well, simple. We don't have the expertise right now to refine aragonite, but we know once it's refined, it has a value, a very attractive value to the tune of $400-500 a metric ton. But let's just say $250 a metric ton. Can you imagine if the country is getting $250 a metric ton from one of its natural resources at minimum of 1 million metric ton a month? And this is realistic. We can show Bahamians that it's realistic. But these guys don't think outside the box. They think we just mean grab a notion in its raw form, send it out at $25 a metric ton. You might get $10 a metric ton. That's how they look at it. They're not looking at the fact that refine this. Set up a glass factory in the Bahamas. We should be the leading factory for glass and pharmaceutical supplies in the world because we have the natural resources right here that they have to use to make pharmaceutical supplies and plastic and glass and all these other things, fertilization, all these other things. Set the factories up here. Bring the experts here. You don't have to sell it. Bring them here. Set them up here. You can imagine cutting the deal with a large car manufacturing company like a Ford, a General Motors, okay, a Chrysler company, whereas we get a contract to make all the car windshields, all the car glass. That can happen in the Bahamas. It's a realistic thing. And the government, successive government knows it, but they do not wish to see Bahamian economic freedom. And when Paul talks about changing the name from Crown Land to People's Land, that's a paradigm shift. We got to change some things to make it change. I think John Boston and all of us always talk about rather than swearing into the Queen of Successors, we talk about that. We have to, when we get in there the first time, you have to do that. But once you get in, you need to fix the system, whereas you start swearing at the people who put you there. We should to make sure we have protective laws in place for you, to make sure there's equal opportunities for you, to make sure there's economic opportunities for you, make sure There's a healthcare system made for the free access to education. We need to show the youth that they can do that. Not to the Queen of successors.
Understood.
We don't have that kind of system.
Understood.
So when we speak, I want people to know we are different from the rest. We want to empower Bahamians so they can have ownership in their country.
It's amazing, hey Paul. That sounds so way out just because it is something that we need to do. And people, I suppose, they lack confidence in many regards that can we really do this? The answer is yes, we can do this. Others are doing it with our things.
That's
So
right.
why can't we do it with our things?
Of course we could do it.
Mhm.
And this is why it is going to be necessary for us to really re-educate
Mhm.
this country. And we're going to use the University of the Bahamas so that we could channel people in the direction and the assets that the country needs in terms of education. So we know we need more scientists and marine biologists and people who may have the instrument to make the glass and understand how that's done. And that is what we call re-education,
Re-engineering.
re-engineering the population and to make the country
And
better.
refocusing.
All
No
of these
question.
things are part of what the people's movement are about, and we have to make certain decisions because we recognize too that parliament, as an example, has been around for centuries. That in that parliament, atrocities have been committed against the Bahamian people.
Mhm.
That there's spirits in that parliament. That when people walk into that parliament, no matter how good they are,
and how good their intentions are,
how good their intentions
they
are,
fall right into
they
the
fall
same
into
trap.
line. They bow to that mace, and they are gone. They are against the Bahamian people. What happened when they threw that mace out of parliament? Think
They
about
were
what happened.
powerless.
They were powerless, and the people came to office.
Mhm.
That is what we need today. That is the commitment of the people's movement, that we will have a brand new parliament. We will have a brand new parliament. It is necessary because it needs to be among the people so that people can have access to it. It won't be this airy-fairy thing that you got to go up there and put on nice clothes to get into. The people has to be a part of it. We know to build a new prison. These are things that we are doing right now because we recognize that there must be a shift, a 180-degree shift. Otherwise, you find that even now you have these parties who are jockeying to be in government, that they're going to follow the same track. Nothing's going to change. The things will remain in place. They're not talking what the people want. What I'm expressing are expressions of the people.
That's right.
And that is what they want, and that's what they will get.
And Steve, if we don't have a government, if the next government of the Bahamas isn't thinking the way the people's movement is thinking, we'll be in big trouble because jobs in the Bahamas and around the world are being swallowed up by technology. So only couple things you'll be able to do, you better have some manufacturing things in place. We got to have a lot of engineers in terms of computer technology and the rest of it, because you see what's happening. But at least secure the land for the Bahamians, secure the waters as it relates to fishing, cause there to be more factories established in the Bahamas so there can be jobs. All these young men who walking around, some of those guys have some skills, but they look unemployable because of their parents. There's no disciplined system in the Bahamas to teach young men how to groom themselves, how to be employable, how to look attractive, how to even present themselves on an interview. These are things we have to do. That the training.
You got to start all over, like
that's
teaching
right,
people.
that's
I
right.
remember
You gotta start all over, it's correct.
you said something that's key because I remember when Pinling came after majority rule. Pinling says, "Now this is no time for us to sit on our backsides and our laurels and just chill. This is time for us to really work harder now." And he was saying that we've got to beat awake on time. We've got to do things. We've got to develop ourselves. We've got to move towards self-sufficiency. We've got to. He was talking about a young nation that was now coming into its own and had to do some things. And the people had a focus of working hard and working for their money and putting their shoulder to the wheel. And this is what I hear you saying, because there is a new beginning. There will have to be a resurgence of those who were here doing things in our country, to put them to work, to make sure that we can benefit from the smarts, the intelligence, the intellect that these people have to fashion a new focus for the Bahamas. And so that's a commendable thing, very commendable. But go ahead, Paul.
No, I just want to say that the work that is necessary is huge. But we in the people's movement recognize that it is not about us. It's about the people. And those who come into the organization, those who will be elected to parliament, who must go out there and make it happen. So we talk about re-engineering even the educational system to make the careers of being a teacher at the very top level of the country. So in other words, we have to send teachers to be math teachers, science teachers. We need to pay for that. We need to make sure that we compensate them adequately. That when you begin to, as soon as you come out, you walk into a $50,000 job. If you are a specialist like a math or science teacher, you have a $75,000 job with perks where you incentivize teachers by giving them reduction in interest rate for mortgages, things like that, so that we can get our country and get our people up to standard. We have to invest in the people. We have not invested in our people. In fact, we disinvest in them. What we invest in is things. We allow people to come into our country and tell us what we ought to do. We talk about the high unemployment now. We know that financial services, as an example, is in trouble. Banks are closing. Corresponding banks are de-risking is a big issue. No one is addressing those issues. That even though Bahamians have been laid off left, right, and center, at the immigration department, they are approving work permits like never before. And they have all these Bahamians who are qualified sitting around. These are things that we must do. And we must look at the situation and allow the people to have it say. That's the only way when we recognize that this country belongs to all of us.
These are the things
not some of us.
That's right. These are the things that put hell up in the people. The people are not happy with it. And you can sense the unhappiness throughout the length and breadth of the Bahamas, you know. I get calls from Meguana. I get calls from Andros. I get calls from Auckland. I get calls from Crooked Island. Literally get calls from them. The Mackeys on the phone to me just about every time I pick up my phone. Why? Nothing is happening for them. They've been forgotten. And I'm saying that there has to be a new way. And I wanted to ask you a couple of things, but I will get to most of them after the break because I've got to take a break. But the thing is, this family island economics and development, you know, what's happening? Because Grand Bahama, Andros, and Abaco are all crying, like Meguana, Auckland, and Crooked Island. They're all crying. There's no real focus of development in these particular islands, and has been that way for decades. Yes. So I want to ask you a question today, Paul, because when you look at the natural resources and all the other things that we do have access to, we've got to learn how to now pool all of these things and then build up these family of islands as well, so that people could return and populate those islands, so that we could depopulate New Providence in many regards, because it's very overcrowded. And it's a reason for that. It's because there's no real economic activity in these islands, something we all know for years have done nothing about. Where's the people's movement on that? I've got to find out. I'm going to run to the break. When we come back here this evening, there's more to come as we talk with Paul Moss and John Pinder, the two who are out front with the steering committee of the political arm of the People's Movement, soon to be really, I suppose, blessed is a good word here, because they go to convention, and whenever they go to convention, they will then come out of that convention with a whole plethora of ideas and things that they have on their drawing board. And also, they will have the legitimacy of that group that is poised to go to the House of Assembly, to the power of the central place of power, to empower the People's Movement.
Hallelujah.
That is crazy. That is
Hallelujah.
real. That is what's happening.
Hallelujah.
We're going to discuss it. And there is room for it because people believe that it could happen.
Hallelujah.
It could happen. This is Hard Copy. We're back in a minute.
Has your property been damaged by Hurricane Matthew? Bank of the Bahamas understands, and we want to help you recover. Our Hurricane Relief Plan provides several options to facilitate home repairs, vehicle, and furniture replacement due to storm damage. Take advantage of our low interest rates and up to 60 months repayment via salary deduction. Bank of the Bahamas is committed to your recovery. Come in and speak with one of our credit professionals today. Applicants must meet normal lending criteria. BOB, your bank of solutions.
Welcome to Sunburst Super Holiday Sale, where you buy 4 and get 1 free. The best savings ever. That's right, when you buy 4 gallons of Sunburst new and improved superior quality paints, you get 1 gallon of fresh look wall paint free. Sunburst prices start at just $15.95 per gallon. And lucky shoppers will win free TVs, washing machines, and toys for the kids. So hurry on down to Sunburst on Howard Road, where you buy 4 and get 1 free. Sunburst, where every gallon is guaranteed. Happy holidays!
At Ron's Electric Motors, they repair and rewind all major brands of electric motors, including water pumps, generators and the generator's back end, welding machines, electric lifts, air compressors, battery chargers, and more. They're equipped to handle up to 850 kilowatts and rewind up to 450 horsepower motors. They're conveniently located on the corner of Wolf and Clarence Roads and are open weekdays 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays till noon. They offer 24 hours emergency assistance. You can reach them on 242-356-0249.
Want a better financial future? Seize the day. Is it crazy to think about retirement when you're this young? CFAL says it would be crazy not to think about it. Seize the day. Make your future happen now. Set goals, build wealth, and create the life of your dreams. CFAL can get you started. Visit cfal.com to find a savings or investment plan right for you. CFAL, seize your future.
The Ari Cooper Senior National Service Award encapsulates the vision of an educated and progressive Bahamas following our independence. Join us to honor those with commonality of service at the Imperial Room of Atlantis on Friday, December 9th at 7 p.m. Special international guests include Father George Clements, Dr. Zenona Clayton, gospel icon Dr. Bobby Jones, and TV personality Judge Glenda Hatchett. Don't miss this historic occasion. For further information, contact the Mission Baptist Church at 322-5950.
Executive Printers. We're professionals. At Executive Printers, we do not participate in trash talk. We concern ourselves with the accuracy and security of your laser check. That is why we put 15 securities on your laser checks. This is not trash. This is fact. It makes fraud almost impossible. Call us today at Executive Printers at 393-5011 or email us at sales@epbahamas.com. That's sales@epbahamas.com. Executive Printers. Laser checks. We do them right.
Merry Christmas, Bahamas. Here's your gift from Commonwealth Bank.
My gift?
Yes, we're giving cash for Christmas. Get a new loan at 1% off our regular rate and enter to win up to $6,000 for the holidays. A new winner every week.
I love cash.
And for holiday shopping, get a new MasterCard with 2% cash back on every purchase.
I can get cash while giving gifts?
Exactly. So visit us today to get a new loan or credit card, plus extra cash for Christmas. Commonwealth Bank, your leader in personal banking services.
Based on the premise of anything you can do, we can do better in the Bahamas. The Bahamian Brewery is 100% Bahamian owned and operated. Proud Bahamians making good traditional brews in Grand Bahama, then bottling and shipping throughout our islands. Our thanks to you, Bahamas, for supporting our family of beers and beverages. Sands, Sands Light, High Rock, Strong Back, Bush Crack, Sands Pink Rattler, and Triple B. Brewed and bottled here and consumed right here in our Bahamas. Now that's truly Bahamian. The Bahamian Brewery encourages all of its fans to drink in moderation.
Dribbles, chins, and trouble, those are the doubles you don't want. Double stamp Sundays at Super Value and Quality Supermarket. Now that's a winner. Fresh tomatoes $1.39 per pound. Dole pineapples to 20 ounce size $1.99. Pillsbury cake mixes 15 1/4 ounce and frosting 453 gram mix or match 2 for $5. Bluebird selected juices 46 ounce can $3.39. Bone-in turkey breast $1.69 per pound. Double stamp Sundays only at Super Value and Quality Supermarkets.
There's a new way to do your shopping online that's hassle-free, will save you time, and no extra fees. Introducing Easy Life. That's EZZY Life. This is how online shopping should be. Shop for a vast range of consumer products and then have them all delivered to a pickup point in Nassau. You make your payment at Big Yard Shipping on Village Road. It's as simple as that. What makes us different? All prices displayed are the final cost. No additional charges for international, local, customs duty, or even shipping charges. That's right. The prices you see displayed on the checkout card is the final price you pay. Simple and easy. So, nice and easy does it every time. For more information, call 326-7200.
Nice and easy does it every time.
Merry Christmas, Bahamas! Here's your gift from Commonwealth Bank.
My gift?
Yes, we're giving cash for Christmas. Get a new loan at 1% off our regular rate and enter to win up to $6,000 for the holidays. A new winner every week.
I love cash.
And for holiday shopping, get a new MasterCard with 2% cash back on every purchase.
I can get cash while giving gifts?
Exactly. So visit us today to get a new loan or credit card, plus extra cash for Christmas. Commonwealth Bank, your leader in personal banking services.
There's no other talk show like the show. If it's 5 o'clock, it's hard copy.
Welcome back to Hard Copy on this Thursday. In search of leadership, in search of leaders, in search of a new direction, in search of more from the people's movement. That is what it's all about today. Paul Moss is with me. John Pinder is also with me. They represent the steering committee of the political arm of the People Movement that, in fact, will go to convention sometime very soon. I believe it is in early December, where a number of things have already been hammered out and will be laid out, and the people will get to see exactly what they can expect on paper in a way. They've been giving us some ideas, espousing lots of ideas and views now. The movement, of course, is growing by leaps and bounds because we see so many people who have now come online and decided that this is what they wanted to do. There's great concern about the fact that this evangelical grouping, this Christian movement grouping, this high moral standard grouping are all interested in a government that's a right kind of government, a righteous kind of government, a new group of people who want to create the paradigm shift that this nation needs. Nothing from folks who, in fact, just want to keep the same old, or play politics at the level that has been played at for so many, many decades. It is time for something else. What is that else? Is that else the people's movement? It sure looks kind of interesting, especially that it has come from the ground up. It's the people who are calling for these things to happen. It's the people who are going to march tomorrow. That's what movements are. When people are ready, it happens.
That's right.
And that's what it looks like today. But the Family of Islands, John Pinder and Paul Moss, who are just the spokespersons out front now for this movement. There are so many other people involved in the movement who, in fact, are of like minds. There are great concerns about natural resources, that we all know, and there are people in the Family of Islands who would like to know what about their economies. Their economies have been scaled down. Their focus has not been made. No one checks for them. Andros included, Abaco included, Grand Bahama included, Acklands and Crooked Island and Eleuthera and all these places. There's so many things that these islands have with great potential, but no one has exploited them. No one has stirred them in a way that they are inspired, that they can do better and more things can happen. What say the people's movement? What about the Family of Islands, Paul Moss, on the economic development end?
The Family Islands have existed historically and have contributed to the upkeep of the Bahamas, even though their economy is little or non-existent. Those Family Islands have remitted taxes to this island, New Providence, every year. And what they get back from it, you really can't see it. So you look at an island like Andros that has supplied water, billions of gallons of water to this island, New Providence, and there's nothing to show for it. So the People's Movement have made a decision that those islands are tax-free zones. There'll be no taxes in those islands. Why? There's no economy in those islands. We want to encourage people to go back and make certain things happen. This is why we will give them the real estate to go back under conditions that they actually develop it. The plan is that when you look over history and you look at how nations were conquered and when the Bahamas was a colony and how the Spaniards and how the English conquered it, they built ports You go on our family islands, man, I'm telling you, there are no ports. The ports that are there needs dredging, needs fixing. This is the only way you could have commerce. Some islands need to be bridged. We're speaking to people who are bridging those islands that could be bridged so that we could have commerce and economic activity, because that is the only way that you're going to uplift those islands down there. We also say that when you look at Andros, you look at Long Island, you even look at Acklands where they have salt. These are natural resources. The People's Movement will create a ministry of natural resources, a ministry so that those people in that island are able to benefit from it, not where they benefit from it, that the taxes are coming into some slush fund down here called the Consolidated Fund and going nowhere or disappearing without a trace. Those people will have it. We will create a ministry of entrepreneurship. This ministry will have a fund. This fund is going to be there to guarantee and to assist people who have the ideas to go into business, to employ people of the country, and we will support it. It's going to be supported not only by the fund that we will have, which I believe will be around $250 million fund. It'll also be supported by the various government institutes right now, like Bank of the Bahamas, like BTVI, all of those institutions, so that we can not only take a business plan, but teach you how to do those things and allow it to happen. The University of the Bahamas will play an integral role in all of this. We intend to maximize BAMSI. We will maximize BAMSI because BAMSI is a good idea. We will ensure that those people get the land, the farmers I'm talking about, the equipment, the resources, the technology, the technical support to assist them. Those family islands are our key to living the better life.
This is very important for self-sufficiency and sustainability in those islands.
Absolutely. I mean, you go to those islands, as soon as the child graduates, it's come to Nassau. Let's go find some economic activity.
Yeah.
That is not right. That is why we have what we have today, just a chaos in this island. When those islands are still tranquil, we believe we could do better down there. And we believe that these programs, such as tax-free zones, I heard other people talking about tax-free zones in the inner city, but no, we believe that those islands are deserving of it.
Understood.
Deserving of it.
There's something else that's quite interesting about the islands, Paul Moss, and that is that the Immovable Property Act was repealed by Ingram and those back then. It was not replaced. It was replaced with the International Land Policyholders Act, which caters to the high foreign end. It has caused land to go sky high in the Bahamas, and there are people who have been shut out and can't do anything. But more importantly, on the family of islands, those little small resorts and cottage industries and those little small hotels and those kinds of things, they don't really exist. And if they exist now, they make no money because others have these properties that they can build a big house on. And they send their friends down from Canada, or they send their buddies from somewhere in Timbuktu to come down and have a good time, and they spend nothing in the economy. And this is something egregious to the development of the family islands. In fact, it has hurt the entire thing. Is there any idea, proposal for repealing that International Land Policyholders Act and replace it with the Immovable Property Act? Because the point there that Pindling, I think, was doing when he did that was to cause for people to just be there for a certain time on lease of land, and we will never lose the land. But now, under this international policy of International People Act, they own the land for perpetuity. That means then that's gone. That's a part of the Bahamas, and that's why these guys have been selling all these keys.
Yeah, one of the things that we should recognize is that in the Bahamas' desire to ascend to the World Trade Organization, they have to have certain things in place. That is, that you have to treat the foreign person just like how you treat your own. In other words, you can't have the split system as how Pillin had it, whereby you have to get approval even to make a purchase of a property, and how he allowed people to lease the land as opposed to owning the land. So that requires a critical question, whether we continue on this track to go towards the WTO or we go in a completely different direction. I think everyone knows my approach on that, but that is a referendum question, because one of the things that will be required is to repeal the International Persons Landholding Act, which is the 1993 Act, and replace it with an act similar to the Movable Properties Act, would be to really go in a direction that does not take you to allow outside forces to dictate how you pass laws and govern your country. That is very important, because under the people's movement, there's no doubt that there will not be the sale of land. You could lease land. You could lease land, and we're not going to lease it to you where you have these long years, 99 years, where there's no possibility of you getting it
Somebody
back.
else, yeah.
No, it's not going to be that. In fact, the government of the Bahamas will go on a track to even seek to buy back property currently held by foreigners when they want to sell. We will go on that because there's a commitment. We should live the good life. There are many people who, even you look at this island, do not have access to the beaches. In fact, we were just on Cabbage Beach, where the people are blocking you totally off in concert with the police, blocking you off. And we say that that is not right. If you are a part of this country, you ought to have unfettered access to the waters. This is why we have a problem in the country. People can't swim. We are surrounded by water. We don't take advantage of our fishing because we don't know how to swim. We will have navigational classes included. There's some of Mr. Lightbourne, Captain Lightbourne, down there in the Grove, I think he was. These things have to be a part of your curriculum. You got to know how to swim. Every student will know how to swim.
Overhaul of the whole curriculum.
Every
gotta do it,
overhaul.
That's
There
right.
will be swimming pools in schools. There will be air-conditioned gymnasiums in schools. We will treat our people the way they are supposed to be treated.
But
You
let me
know-
also say, as it relates to the family island, I think every family island is unique in its own way. We just need to find out the uniqueness of that particular family island and develop it. That some islands may be able to manufacture certain crops that can come to market and even be exported to kind of boost the economy. There may be some sort of a attraction, like for example, what Sydney Islands was doing that in Cat Island with the rake and scrape. We need to cause that to be a tourism attraction, that every tourist who comes to the mountain want to go to Cat Island just for rake and scrape.
Uniqueness of the
There's
island.
some right, whatever's unique to that island, you develop that. But I think the problem is it's not being developed, and it got to be done in such a way that people can access it. You can't just, you can't just make it. You go down to a place for a particular festival.
It can't just be
there's no
talk.
right. There's no hotel
I got
room and
you.
all that sort of thing.
That's right.
I believe the Bahamas need to own some cruise ships.
We
We
have to
already
do
own
that.
some cruise ship. If we had owned some cruise ships, then we could do a 7-day cruise right in the Bahamas.
Absolutely.
So you stop off to Cat Island for rake and scrape. You stop off to another
Absolutely.
place for
Absolutely.
jump canoe.
See-
You stop with another place for jump and dance, and that's what you do.
This is the new Bahamas. This is the next Bahamas. This is the Bahamas that would have that kind of creative thinking that Bahamians could come in and own it. Those on the outside who sit in Georgia or New York or other states or part of the states will look at things that they have on their mind to come home to do it. And it can be done because the tourism industry is an industry, even though we have not tapped into all of it. For example, we believe that every single home, whether it's in the inner city here in this island of Providence or in the family islands, ought to be a part of the tourism domestic product in the sense that this home is open to bed and breakfast. And you set up the regulatory regime to make sure that these things are in place. And people will talk about crime and you can't bring the tourists over the hill. And we say that is absolute nonsense because that's what they want. And if those people are engaged, you can imagine people who have their homes rented out, waiting for people to come for bed and breakfast, that they're going to tolerate some criminal
No,
element
sir.
around them
They're
or
gonna
someone
make
being
sure that-
nasty around them.
That's right.
It will not happen. You have incentivized them to be a part of the industry. In other words, they are using what they have in their hand. If they have a house with a bed, they're using what they have in their hand. And I tell you, I'm a tourist.
That's the concept.
When I travel, I don't want to go where the tourists go. I want to go where the people are. And that's what I've been doing. And that's where I go.
And we have wonderful people, smiling faces, and
Absolutely.
good people with good hospitality.
We are known
We're not
for it.
capitalizing
We are
on it.
known for it. One of the things that we will do is that hotel school that we have down there now under the University of the Bahamas, we're going to ensure that school is 100% world class. because we will allow other countries to come and we will trade with them.
That's right.
To send our people to say Dubai, and they come here to our school because they look for us to be the leaders. They think that we are the leaders in tourism, and we are.
We've just not capitalized on it.
We've just not capitalized on it.
And look at this whole revenue, new source of revenue can come from natural resources. This is what I've been saying as it relates to crime. If we had a sovereign trust fund that says X amount, let's say 40%, whatever comes from natural resources is set aside to share between Bahamians. Okay, let's just say every Bahamian is entitled to $25,000 a year. Okay, so now you put a criteria in place how you qualify for that $25,000. And I've been saying this, but I have to say as often as I can so Bahamians can know how realistic this is. We can almost stop crime overnight. We tap into our natural resources and yield the kind of funds we can get from it. So if in order for you to qualify for your $25,000, and I'm being very, very generous, because I talk and this could be $100,000 easy.
Yeah.
But just so people don't get carried away and think that the people's movement want to pay people that don't work and cause you to be lazy. No, that's not what we're all about. But we're saying, if part of that criteria is you have to be crime free. Let's say you call an unlicensed firearm, you lose your $25,000. You think you can get kids on the unlicensed firearm? You commit an offense to Steve McKinney and they put a value on that offense. That offense is $15,000. So 15 of your $25,000 goes to Steve McKinney. You think you want to do that? This all this nonsense here with people killing for $500. You think if you know you get incarcerated, your money is going to go to take care of you. You can't get a penny out of that. You can try to go to prison. You're going to walk the straight and narrow so you could get your money.
Yeah, but the people have to be motivated and inspired
and
with this kind of new
the
direction.
reality and not no hot air talk for people to vote for you. When you show them on paper how easy this is to accomplish, we could almost stop crime overnight. We could buy every gun off the street. We could cause all these guys who are not employed. You go into a disciplined program. If you're not employed, you ain't getting that $25,000 for sitting up home or sitting on the block doing food. You're gonna be in some. You're gonna do some community service if you don't have a 9-to-5 job to get to earn your $25,000.
Are you looking then at some of the concepts and ideas of national service to bring the discipline that the country needs? We all could agree now that the country needs a discipline, a new level of discipline and disciplines at the end of the day to forge ahead with people with skills and all that. So some believe that the way to do that is by national service in some form of fashion.
Yeah, I agree
to bring along our young people because we've got to teach them.
Teach them discipline, teach them different trades, because when you in certain discipline forces, you learn trades also. But the first thing you do, you're going to learn to get up on time. You learn how to spread your bed. You're going to learn how to prepare a meal. There's some skills you will learn.
Basic things that you should have.
That you ought to have.
Yeah, that's what we have. We say that when we issue the people's land back to them, that there's a certain criteria that they must have. For example, you got to finish high school or have an equivalent to the high school diploma. 2, you must either have worked for 5 years contributing to national insurance, or you have gone on to some kind of higher education, which we anticipate would be the University of the Bahamas, or if you have special skill, we send you elsewhere. And 3, you must have completed at least 1,000 hours of community service. And if you want it, even if you are a person who may be 50 plus, if you want that and you have skill of mentoring, you got to be a part of that process. This country belongs to us. And if we don't go in a different direction, we're going to have the same thing we've been getting, where children are discouraged. They come out, they believe that they have no chance in life. I always remember a conversation that you spoke about on the show about some guy at the barbershop who was celebrating his 21st birthday. And he's happy because he thought he could never live to see 21. We got to stop that. We could only stop that and arrest that by investing in our people. That's the only way we could do it. Not to let them hear that we're talking about giving land or negotiating land and see with the Chinese, where they feel that, look, all I could do is go work for these people. That's not the idea. The idea is to have the Bahamian owning the economy, to issue banking licenses to those people who worked in this industry for so long and know what to do, but they can't get it done. To just be supported by a government because we've tried everything else. We've tried the mega hotels. We've tried the anchor projects. We've tried the foreign direct investment, giving away everything. It doesn't trickle down. It doesn't work. So now we'd have to try the Bahamian people directly.
A couple of things here that we must touch bases with in this edition as we talk, and that is the size of government. You're looking at a particular grouping of the size of government. You're looking at financial services, the financial services sector. You touched on that earlier. You're looking at the small, medium business sector. How are we going to make sure that that continues to sustain and keep the country afloat? And then you're looking at, of course, the food security and energy reform. You touched on these things before. I see, for instance, on food security, that the place that is called Eleuthera, that was the haven of all the activity, of all the nice chicken and all the ice cream and all the milk and all those kinds of things. I believe that those things can come back. I believe that these things can be returned. I believe that it can happen. You look at Anderson, you see all the wealth that they have with the blue holes and all the fishing and all those things. I believe that there's so many things that we can do to bring that along. You look down in Acklands and Crooked Island, and you look at the Cascarilla Bark and all that. You can see that, these guys want this all the time. The Cascarilla tree, the bark for the Campari and all that kind of stuff. And others have come and have invested in these areas and are now closing this out to a different group of people who are not even Bahamians. And that's why I'm saying the wealth is here. God gave us the wealth. What we have not done is develop the wealth and make it, into the kind of liquid cash or the kind of things that can benefit the people in a big way. So I want us to make sure that when you are doing all of you, and I know that you've already done most of your stuff on the platform anyway, but that these things are caveats, high points of expression that the people will get the meaning on.
But Steve, listen, let me just say this. I've been saying, we keep talking about the Aragonite. I begged the government 4 years ago to at least start to offer students some scholarships to go and learn to refine Aragonite. So when you talk about the Cascarilla Bar, you don't think we should have been producing Campari in this country?
Oh, yes.
We should have already said, hold on, man. These people do that. They're making millions of dollars of our product.
It's not just
let's train them to do it. Look at the salt. Look at the salt.
It's also for perfume.
Yes.
Okay, but that was good for. But we need to find out what these things are good for. You didn't give it to these people all these scores of years ago. We should have had persons in the Bahamas refining the salt, boxing the salt, and selling salt, exporting salt in its cooking form and its other preserving form to other parts of the world. These are things we should have been doing.
But that's what the people's movement will do.
This big talk now about the Chinese want to get sap from the pine tree or whatever it is.
Right.
But immediately when you're hearing that, you should now start to offer some scholarships for students that go and
learn
find out what this is all about.
Find out.
So you can retrieve it now. And but you know why? They don't want Bahamians to get economic freedom. They don't want economic emancipation in this country. They want to keep you down. And so how do they do that? Just let everybody go to school, learn how to be an accountant, learn how to be a lawyer, nice and a couple of basic stuff. So you're always working. You're not an entrepreneur. They don't want you to be business people. They want you to just continue.
And you think this is a system of government?
It's a system.
It's a system.
It's a system.
And it's the people in the system.
It's a system. That's what it is.
I look at a lot of the so-called new generation leaders who I friendly with, and I knew them even before their ascension into parliament. And I am so disappointed because the conversations which we had has not materialized, even though they've had opportunities. And you have to look at that to see what it is. It could be that when they went into parliament, they just lost it. The head began to spin.
Or they started to be a part of a system that is very, very mysterious. People don't understand some of the symbolisms and stuff that happens in these systems. And when you were talking earlier about how people have been bowing to the Mason, how people go and then all of a sudden they lose themselves, they become a different person with a different personality, it's because of all the ancestry that's in the walls of that building that infects the whole mindset. That people are not themselves.
And you talk about the banking system in this country. You should see what's happening in the insurance industry. But I've just learned because of the result of the hurricane. Do you know how many people in grandmamas being taken advantage of? You know why? When you got the house from the mortgage corporation, it was valued $160,000. So you only insure the house for the value of the house. You know what they do? They're penalizing you, saying your house is undervalued. and taking thousands of dollars from you because they hold on. Because you're undervalued, there's a penalty for having your house undervalued. Well, how could that be if you're carrying my house at that value in your books? How's that? And this is the kind of thing that we have to look at. The system is designed just to oppress the middle class and the lower class citizens. The upper class people don't have these kind of issues. And so we got to look at the whole, we got to revamp all these systems. We got to look at everything, critique all these things. It's going to take some time to do it. But at the end of the day, Bahamians can save monies if we are able to change some systems in this country
No
and
question.
the way we do business.
Now, listen, the systems in this country right now, Paul Moss, you've got to be thinking on your feet, and the people who you now have into the grouping of the people's movement have got to be savvy on a lot of things. There's energy reform that has to happen. Yes. We need a new way of doing this. Yes. We cannot be doing the same old stuff and the bunker seat fuel and paying all this these exorbitant fees for it. These are some of the things that I see in my mind to throw out to you for further development, and even if you want to elaborate on them now. The anti-corruption plans and the transparency, the lack thereof. There must be plans to deal with all of these things because there's a lot of corruption in the Bahamas. These are mindsets that have been happening. And I suppose because you all are on a righteous course, you have a high moral ground, but you've got to bring the people with you on that because there's some things hard, some habits that are hard to break. And this anti-corruption thing that has been there for so long that we should be taking a look at, and transparency to get things right in government. What are your views along those lines? How do we kind of bridge things as we try to pivot and go into the future for a new Bahamas, so to speak?
Well, there must be leadership by example. When I say leadership, I'm not just talking about the politicians. I'm talking about the public servants as well. Mm-hmm. That everyone must be on the same page with respect to it. I believe that if we could cut out the corruption in our country today, we would have a surplus in terms of our budget.
I believe you.
Because when you look at it, I believe that it is corruption that would allow administrations to continue to allow the government of the Bahamas to pay $125 million in rent. That is corruption.
Why
because
you don't want the Freedom of Information Act?
Well, the idea is that the public must be able to not only see transparency, but to know that this is something that is not going to be tolerated. And so everyone, even though there are laws on our books, everyone will be in this new paradigm. This whole thing about general orders is done away with. It's finished. We remove it. If you are employed by the public service, your honesty is going to be required of you. And we recognize that the conditions in which people work in terms of the salary, the mega salary, you just spoke about someone with a master's degree taking home $21,000, that we have to prioritize ourselves. And there are many people in this country and many people who have been on government jobs without a promotion, big men and women with children who are making $17,000 a year doing work that is, if they were in the private sector, would be, 3 times that. Mm-hmm. We have to recognize that. And part of that would be to right size what is going on to give people this opportunity. And we say to them, look, this is what your increase is. But similarly or concurrently, when you are doing the work, you cannot be participating in the activities that we know was going on in the past. Mm-hmm. Because if you are, you're summarily dismissed and you are replaced. Mm-hmm. And we say that because the Bahamian people and the public servants know, and even the government ministers would know, that if you are caught in that way, you are just banished from the system. You're just gone. Mm. But your increase is sufficient for you to feel good about yourself and to go on. And be encouraged, for example, even though this general orders and other things do not permit civil servants to have other jobs or other businesses. I mean, that's a no-no. That's a no-no. If you are a public servant and you have entrepreneurial skills and you want to be able to set something up, you do that. You should not be penalized for that. And we penalize Bahamians all over. That's why we penalize even in our own economy.
That's what makes them so sneaky.
That's what makes them so sneaky.
That they got to decide that they're going to go undercover and do something clandestine to make it.
And this is why it's happening. So, for example, today, there are many people who come to the country understanding that there are certain activities that are reserved for Bahamians. And so they go and find someone who will front for them. Because the Bahamian lacks the access to the capital to do the job for themselves. And you got civil servants who will engage in that kind of activity and practice to set up things because they know that, for example, you have to clean office buildings, or they set up some janitorial contract and they do it in a way like that. We say call these things out in the open, and everyone will be able to bid. And I heard someone on your show talking about the contractor general. These are things that are in other countries. These are things that we intend to implement in the Bahamas. Everything will be transparent. We believe that everything should be on the internet, so that even when people want to come to this country, they know what the laws and rules are before they come. And it's not necessary for you to sit down and meet with politicians. This is where the corruption starts. When they believe that they could get something. When the laws are there, you don't see the politician. You go, you follow the law, and it is done.
And
it
you got the technocrats to go and get the thing done.
And it works for you. And see, we have had people interfering. I call it interfering because they have stagnated the ease of doing business in this country. It's very difficult. So, for example, if a Bahamian now wants to get into business, the way we have the system set up, he either goes and do it in his own name, which is a disaster because the liability follows him. If the business fails, he has all the debt. But when you look at it, you have these companies that only lawyers could form. That's a no.
You got to cut that out.
That's a no way under the people's movement. And not only that, we will reduce the cost of forming companies because we want our people to get into business, and we want to get into business without carrying the debt personally.
Absolutely. And there's so many people who want to get into business and who are these
who
guys
can't because they go to a lawyer says $2,500.
Yeah. That's right.
It discourages them.
And
we say that in this ministry of entrepreneurship, and you look at all of the abandoned buildings that the government has on its portfolio.
No question. I talked about that.
Those buildings would be home to the entrepreneurs coming up through that system, that program that we have, so that they can sit in those buildings for 3 years rent free. Because their success is our success. And if they are successful, it means then that is less money that the state has to dedicate to the upliftment of its people.
People want to know things like there was a report that came out. I think it was from the IMF or from some conglomerate, some major thing that talked yesterday. I missed it, but yesterday talking about how the fact that doing business in the Bahamas, the rating of it now has been dropped because of the fact that we have a complicated value-added tax system for the returns to be done that is hard to get things done. And we have fallen off as a place of the ease of doing business and the continuation of business in the country. Your thoughts along those lines, because one would be thinking that the people's movement may in fact decide that some of these things are not necessary. They have to look for a different tax structure. And so,
yes, absolutely.
What are your thoughts?
There's no doubt that there will be a new tax regime in this country. There's no doubt. The value-added tax will be abolished. We see it as a yoke and a burden on the poor people of this country. We believe that if you make more, you pay more. We believe that if you are in this country doing business and making money as a result of being in this environment, that you pay your fair share. This is what other countries do. And it's amazing to me that we could talk down to our people, but can't speak to those people who come to the country to say to them, look, you make all this money. We just want 5%. And they will gladly pay it.
Understood.
And that's what we have to do. Change those things and make sure that when a person makes an application for a business, that they don't have to go out there and go to town planning, the Ministry of Works, to go to health, to go to national insurance. That is foolishness. You delay the process. In fact, you ought to try to get them into business so quickly because you recognize that once they're in business, taxes are being paid and you are able to carry on your business. But when you go to this department and 3 weeks later, you're still so frustrated you can't get your company
You may not
going,
even do business
you
anymore.
may lose opportunity.
That's right. That's right. Well, Paul Morse, as we talk here, I'm going to give you extra time here because I want to take some calls to let the people interact with you for a second. And I will extend it by 30 minutes. So right now it's 7 o'clock, 2 minutes past 7
We
o'clock.
appreciate that.
325-0235 or 6, 325-0242 or 43, 325-0252 or 53. Then you can also WhatsApp and text me at 376-9234. Let me give those numbers to you one more time. If you want to call me right now, you can do that. I've extended this thing. I want you to interact a bit and ask some questions that I may not have put on the table today. 325-0235 or 6, 325-0242 or 43, 325-0252 or 53 is how you can talk with John Pinder today and Paul Moss, who are both a part of the steering committee of the leadership arm, political arm of the People's Movement. Remember now, the People's Movement is a big group. It has a spiritual arm, it has a social arm, of course, it has a political arm, and certainly this is why it is such a wide group, and that's why there's so many people who are involved. You don't see them, you may not even hear them. What is functioning right now to the point where they're trying to lobby and get you to understand what they're doing is the political arm. That's what you're hearing today. But there are thousands of people, literally thousands of people, I kid you not, involved in the People's Movement from a spiritual end, from a social end, and there's an outreach that's happening to assist people from the movement because it's about trying to find and help with the needs of the Bahamian people in this country. So the political arm is that arm that now goes to try to get into the seat of power to really affect the kind of changes all around. And that's why John and Paul and many others are involved in that aspect of it. 325-0235 or 6. Let me run to a break, pay a bill, a final bill, and when we come back here, we'll take some calls and also hear some more about financial services. I asked Paul about the size of his government, the size of the People's Movement government, because that's important too. If they're going to put people in every constituency to run, that's important. Maybe they'll just put 10, maybe they'll put 20, maybe they'll go for the whole hog. The idea is out there that maybe to offset the balance of power in this country, you've got to get a group of people in there who can make sure that they can deal with the balance of power in a way that's going to benefit the people. So we'll ask them all that. Just a minute right here on Hard Copy.
Want a better financial future? Seize the day. Is it crazy to think about retirement when you're this young? C-File says it would be crazy not to think about it. Seize the day. Make your future happen now. Set goals, build wealth, and create the life of your dreams. C-File can get you started. Visit cfile.com to find a savings or investment plan right for you. C-File. Seize your future.
Welcome to Sunburst Super Holiday Sale, where you buy 4 and get 1 free. The best savings ever. That's right, when you buy 4 gallons of Sunburst new and improved superior quality paints, you get 1 gallon of fresh look wall paint free. Sunburst prices start at just $15.95 per gallon. And lucky shoppers will win free TVs, washing machines, and toys for the kids. So hurry on down to Sunburst on Howard Road, where you buy 4 and get 1 free. Sunburst, where every gallon is guaranteed. Happy holidays.
Dribbles, chins, and trouble. Those are the doubles you don't want. Double stamp Sundays at Super Value and Quality Supermarket. Now that's a winner. Fresh tomatoes $1.39 per pound. Dole pineapples to 20-ounce size $1.99. Pillsbury cake mixes 15 1/4 ounce and frosting 453-gram mix or match 2 for $5. Bluebird selected juices 46-ounce can $3.39. Bone-in turkey breast $1.69 per pound. Double stamp Sundays only at Super Value and Quality Supermarkets.
You must try the Banyas. Taste of the island. Made in the Bahamas. From the finest ingredients. The Banyas add spice to your life.
The Banya Spices, distributing Bahamian spices and condiments worldwide. Visit our website at www.thebanyas.com or phone in your orders right now at 601-1065.
There's no other talk show like the show. If it's 5 o'clock, it's hard copy.
I'm in with Paul Moss today. I'm in with John Pinder. They're both here drumming up support and trying to just lay into you what the ideas are from the People's Movement. It's a group and an organization whose time has come, a lot of people believe, and they say that they are a part of a focus of what has been predicted and prophesied in this country, that people want change and that we will see things that we've never seen before, in the words of one Miles Monroe. I'm looking at some of my text messages here as I wait for your calls, 325-023546. And look at this. It says, we are between the ages of 18 and 35, networking together, and we are truly prepared to give the People's Movement our votes. Oh, God,
Hallelujah.
we must get rid of the PLP government, is what this person says. And, of course, this person says, John is right. Everyone knows. She's talking something else. They know it, too. You started the party, but then you made a comment, but it's Steve's party. That's not so. The whole grouping that came together actually sat down. You remember that? Core five
Yes.
of like minds decided that something was happening in this country. And that has grown by leaps and bounds now. So that's a wonderful thing. And of course, I'm taking your calls and I'm taking your messages at 376-9234 is how you can do that. Hi, Steve. My biggest concern is the splitting of the opposition vote and the PLP winning by default. This country cannot take another 5 years of this PLP. Is this a consideration for the People's Movement they're asking of joining opposition forces? I've got calls online. Go ahead, please.
Certainly, we would certainly like to join forces, especially like-minded parties. We're working with two, basically, I believe, basically two of them who are thinking like us. Just need to meet some common ground on that. I believe it's safe to say that is the way forward, to join forces. But you need people who want to say paradigm shift in the parliamentary system, who want to bring about economic freedom. If you ain't talking that, if you ain't ready to talk to you.
I think that oftentimes people look historically at what has gone on in the past, and they see that in times past there would have been a split. And they probably looked at the very last election where they saw that the DNA came in and the PLP rose to power. But that is not our call. Our call is to be obedient to the mandate that we believe that God has said to us. And the rest, he will take care of it. We just want to be obedient. You know, I often talk about when Abraham was told to go and sacrifice his son. That's the ultimate test to be obedient.
Absolutely.
And that's all he requires of us, to be obedient. And I mean, everything else is left for him. Because let's go back 50 years ago when Randall Fox and A.R. Brennan, these were two men who were not inside the established parties.
Absolutely.
But they were the men who today are responsible for us being here today. Because if they took a different path, we do not know what that path may have been. And so we're saying that their faithfulness and their obedience allowed us to be here. So even though we want to have others to come in, we want to be a part of it, our cause is to be obedient and to finish the race. And that's what we intend to do.
325-0235. Let's take some calls on the line on this afternoon. Paul Moss is there. John Pinder is here with us. Hard Copy, how you doing? Hard Copy, how are you? Oops. Hard Copy, how are you?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. I'm listening.
Oh, hi. Good night, gentlemen. How y'all doing?
Very good, ma'am.
Mr. McKinney. Now there's a march in the morning, right? Hello?
1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
Oh.
It's going to be at 1 o'clock, the Black Friday march.
Yeah. Now, who's that, Mr. Pender?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, I've listened to Mr. Jerome Fitzgerald. He responded. You've heard the response, haven't you?
I have heard his response, yes.
And he's saying that there was only 2 days notice as to what people want. The purpose for the march, right? Hello, I
Well,
think
no,
Mr. Pender, you.
I did not hear that part of his statement. The part that I heard was when he was lamenting that he was talking about the Freedom of Information Act that he intends to lay before Parliament before the end of the year, and he was really suggesting that those who talk about
Let me hear you.
those who talk about the reformation of the educational system, that's what he's been doing. So that's all I heard.
Yeah, but there's several other organizations that have concerns that would like to highlight those concerns. Certainly, there's several concerns in the public service and from the trade union movement that needs to be addressed. While this is not just about the Freedom of Information Act, it's about all the concerns that Bahamians have. Okay, there's the whole issue of the Industrial Relations Act needing to be amended. That should have been amended from September. There's a whole talk about amending of the Employment Act. That also should have been amended. And these are things that we've been fighting for years. 10 years ago, I remember Pat Bain, when he was president of the National Congress of Trade Unions, had started this process. Then I took over from Pat. I tried to carry it. Then Jenny took over from me. She carried. Then I get it back again and still be at the same position. And that's why the People's Movement have to put as efficient candidates that they could become the government of the Bahamas to change things in this country. Even if it's not just trying to partnership with nobody, we need to become the government of this country to bring about change because these guys ain't serious.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, but what I'm saying, here's what I'm saying, okay? Even in regard to that, I mean, on my part, all right, I agree with that march tomorrow morning in regard to Mr. Alfred Gray. You know, that issue with Mr. Alfred Gray.
Right, that's right.
And the Chinese coming
ma'am.
here to,
Yes.
you know, I don't think I need to really spell it out, but you
Right.
know what I'm talking about in regard
Yes,
to that,
ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. You know what you're referring to. What I'm saying now. There's a whole laundry list of concerns, not just what Jerome Fitzgerald responded to.
No, but here's what I'm saying. All right? The government that we're dealing with, all right? They're saying only 2 days ago, they heard about something, and they're using that as an excuse to say, well, okay, then buy us some more time. All right?
Yeah, the march is tomorrow, ma'am. I appreciate your concern. The march is tomorrow. It starts at 1 o'clock, and all Bahamians are able to be a part of it if they so desire. The time has come, and the march is going to happen. That's what the way it is. So I appreciate your call. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Hard copy. How are you?
Hello, Steve. How you doing, sir?
I'm in good shape, sir.
I have a question. Both of these two gentlemen which you have inside the radio talk show, right? They are two different parties.
No. This is the People's Movement Party.
Okay.
It's a People's Movement. It's not a party. It's a People's Movement, right?
Okay. The People's Movement. It's not a party. It's not a political group.
The People's Movement this is the political arm now of it. Yes, it's a movement. It's a movement of people. It's called the People's Movement.
And their job is what? The next election, would they be running or not?
That's the intent. We intend to contest the next general election to bring about the changes that we, the people, want to see.
Okay, who may you be, sir?
My name is Paul Moss.
Okay, Paul Moss, I thought you were supporting DNA or you with the People's Movement?
No, I'm not supporting the DNA. I'm with the People's Movement.
What is your question, sir? What do you want to know specifically?
Okay, I want to know because my question regards to that is that if the People's Movement and the DNA have some of the similar ideas, why don't they get together to try form a coalition to take over the government? Why everybody running on a single ticket and not coming together if you have the same ideas?
Well, the fact is we don't have the same ideas. That's the first thing. Our ideas have come from the people. I don't think that their ideas have been
Could you do me one favor?
come in that
Paul?
fashion.
Could you tell me the difference between your party philosophy and the DNA, please? I'll listen to it.
Yeah,
Well,
thank
first-
you for your call.
First of all, this entity has several arms, one of which is a spiritual arm or pastoral arm, as we call it. an economic arm, a social arm, and a political arm. I think the DNA is a political party. That's it. That is the difference right there. We believe that we have been formed from the people. The DNA came out of some other formation. The people of this country told us that that is what they wanted, and this is why we're here today.
Hard copy. How you doing?
Yes, hi. Good afternoon.
How you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing. It's a sad moment for me today in reference with my family member, Inspector Glenroy McKenzie.
Oh yes, he was funeralized today, eh?
Tomorrow. I'm very saddened to know the way the procedure. It brings sad moments for us, even with the passing of our former family member, Archibald Miller, all in reference to what is happening to him today. I feel that they were not fair, and I think that they denied him a space full military funeral, which the family was prepared for because of the way he was treated. But then you're going to when you're not going to allow a person wear uniform that he's servicing for years and not support and have other family members on the police force to have them be scheduled for work, and even colleagues that are so close to him to have them scheduled to work on the morning that he's supposed to be burying.
I'm sorry for what I'm hearing. It is sad. I as a former police spokesman, the first one, when I saw the announcement in the paper, first I was shocked at it, and then when I'm talking about his funeral, the announcement of his death, and then when I saw that there was no full military funeral, I wondered what happened. I didn't get around to finding out, and now I get this call from you saying that you're pained and hurt about the whole matter. This is Inspector. Was he ASP Glenroy? Glenroy McKenzie.
Contribute to the force and to the community, and also he has a daughter that traveled all the way from Japan for the first time to see him in his infected uniform. She was there for over 8 years.
So what has happened? You're saying that I know this is off the beat of what we were talking about, but you're saying that he has not been given military honors as a police officer to be funeralized tomorrow.
No,
he hasn't. Well, what reason they gave you?
Because of when they claimed that he was accidentally shot, and everybody knows that wasn't the story, and he spoke out against it when they said that he had a bulletproof vest. He didn't wear it. We had pictures of it bloodied up, so he stood for that, and they punished him for that. They gave him vacation time, and after such, they gave him now 4 years absence administration leave without pay. This is the kind of punishment that he got that he did not deserve.
Ma'am, I want to talk with you. I know that you're going through a lot now, and I sympathize and empathize with you.
And it's now said to know that I have families on the force, and they assign them to work in the morning
When he's supposed to be his funeral.
when they should have been attending the funeral. So it's very despiteful. He's already dead. Why would they take the hatchet and say, that's not fair.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I feel what you're saying, and
If you're the leader of your company and you have your staff employed and you're going to follow the decision, you should use your discretion as a leader of who's in charge of the police force. There's a boss for him to answer to, and the boss cannot make a decision or override a decision to deal with that matter. They need leadership seminars.
ma'am, I hear you loud and clear. I suppose that
I want to talk to you because I'm emotional.
yes, I know, and that's why I'm saying I want you to make the best of what is happening. God sees and knows all things. It doesn't sound as if he's been treated fairly. I don't know the details of it, but I would like to talk with you, perhaps after the funeral ceremony, and let's see if we can get some kind of situation sorted out on this for you and on behalf of the deceased. Yes, I did know him, and I knew him as a good person the whole time I knew him. I was shocked about the whole thing that I saw. So I said I observed it in the papers this morning when I saw just funeral service. I didn't see no full
it's just
military
a
thing.
demonstration that the system is flawed. That if you serve in this country and you serve to that extent, putting your life on the line, that it should be
38 years.
a moment where it is
38,
upon death.
38 years, 4 years is when they put him administrative leave of absence.
My Lord. Okay, ma'am. Listen, I'm going to please do call me, and let me take it up with you all. Yeah, let me put you on hold, and let Steph could pick up this call and get the contact numbers for me.
Okay.
I thank you very much. Let me put you on hold, ma'am.
I'm sorry for my emotions.
It's
but
all right. It's okay. Yeah, I understand what is happening, and I thank you very much for it. Just hold for me, please. Steph could do pick up that call, and let's get it organized. There you go. Hard copy. How are you?
How you doing, Steve?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Morris, how you doing, brother?
I'm very well, thanks.
Yes, Steve, I have never called you since the Gatekeepers was formed. But I felt compelled today to call, to voice my support in this movement. It's not a party yet, so I can't speak to you as if you were a party. I would say this too and caution the gatekeepers. I have to be Amos. When lawyers were making money, and this is why the Bahamian people is one of the reasons why we're in our mess, because those who were given the authority, the majority of them is lawyers. Okay? Now, I'm just basically calling to support you guys, but I have to say something first, and this is all I really want to be, and I want to be quick. The hotel union leaders, when you guys was not able to represent your members in terms of talk shows, Steve know where we come from. Okay? There were some men and there were some women who were on the battlefield, on the battle front line. You see, people, Steve can teach us about what the Ed Moxie syndrome is all about within the next 6 months. He'll teach us what the lady who just hung up.
Amos.
Okay, Steve, your
Amos,
brother's only calling to say.
You're all over the place.
To say to
Can
them.
you make a straight line to your
Okay,
on
I
your
know
sentence?
I segue for a minute. This is all I'm saying to my brothers. Amos has a very important duty to, as every Bahamian has, as you have, to do everything in our power to sustain human lives.
Okay.
You see, the natural resources and everything, they were created before human beings.
Yeah. I gotta go cut away from you, Amos. I just wish that you would just obey and just get to your point, and you could run all over the place, and time is of the essence as usual. Hard copy, how are you? Hard copy, how you doing today? All right, I don't have anything on that line. Paul, here's what I'm getting. Steve, what is the People's Movement immigration policy? Somebody's text that to me.
Well, the immigration policy is very simple. We have to fix the immigration problems of this country. There are thousands of applications that are there standing, particularly from persons who were born in this country, who made application at 18. We believe that that should be summarily resolved. One of the things that people should realize is that the Immigration Board is a cabinet of the Bahamas. The cabinet of the Bahamas is so busy that I do not know when they find time to meet on such matters. That has to be done away with. There are good professional men and women at the Immigration Department who we have trained and hired, and they know, and they make their decisions, they make their recommendations, and I say that we ought to follow through with that. So that when they give their recommendation, it is cut and dry, and that's what we deal with, so that we can get rid of the backlog. And we need to ensure that persons who come to the country are dealt with in a fashion that is fast in terms of their applications. We need to also ensure that there are follow-throughs with applicants that have been granted work permits, because oftentimes, particularly in financial services, there are criteria given that are not required for the job. But they know that if they say that you must speak Portuguese and sometimes Hebrew, they may even say Latin, even a language that does not exist anymore, that they get their man. But when you go on the job, they're doing something totally different. We need to have follow through to be aggressive, because we need to ensure that Bahamians have the first crack at every single economic activity in this country. And then if they aren't able to do it, then we look to the outside.
Somebody has texted me and says, Steve, what has happened to John Bostwick? Wasn't he instrumental in the formation of the Gatekeepers or the People's Movement? What's with him? Paul, I asked that. I put that to both
I spoke
you
to
and
John
John.
out to the press conference for the Black Friday 2 days ago, and he's indicated that he has not lost interest, but then we heard him saying that he was much in doing something independently. So
Yeah, I think he's gone the independent route, but that does not mean that he's not a part of the people's movement. He is a part of the people's movement because we have different arms and that he is interested in, which would be the social and economic arm. But this is a political movement that he sees that his lot is better served being an independent candidate.
All right. So Friday, November. Somebody's texting me here about Friday. They just said that we march on Black Friday, which is basically tomorrow. So you would know that by now. And there's so many things that people are wanting to go and march about.
Yeah, to that, Steve, let me just say this, that to all who are coming out tomorrow, please, I implore you to be peaceful, to be respectful, not to engage in any kind of things, because we know it only takes a spark. It only takes a spark.
No
And
question.
we
about
are reminiscent, or I'm reminded of Burma Road and how those things happen, because anything can escalate.
Yeah,
So we
to
say,
spiral out of control.
Be respectful and be mindful of that.
This person said, "Oh, thank you, Jesus, the people's movement. I'm so ready for this. Hallelujah," says that person on the text.
Amen.
And she also says, "Cruise ships for the Bahamas, awesome," is what that person says. And of course, I'm getting a lot of information here this evening. Anyhow, people who text and who want to find out more, you can go to the website of
Go to the
People's
website.
Movement.
Yes, the website is thepeoplesmovement.net. www.thepeoplesmovement.net. We have a Facebook page as well. You can go to that Facebook page. You can inbox your numbers, inbox us, and we could get back to you. You could be a part of a chat group that we have as well. We're just encouraging people to be a part of it. We have the email is info@thepeoplesmovement.net. You can send emails as well. This is your movement. This is your time. You have started this. You need to follow through and complete it.
There are a lot of things that you all are developing right now that I know of that will lay out a whole, I suppose, the whole plan on things like the financial services sector, on things like immigration, on things like anti-corruption and transparency in government, on things like small and medium-sized businesses, the economic growth and diversification of the Bahamian economy, agriculture and fisheries and food security, energy reform, natural resources that people have been talking about, crime and lawlessness. I know that you have set out a lot of things, and people need to know that a lot of groupings like a people's movement want to go out and solicit ideas and get the most involvement and make these proclamations that they will make around election time succinct to what people want. And so it's a work in progress. I understand
It's a work
that.
in progress as always, because we're getting people coming with their different inputs. But we recognized a very long time ago that the best ideas to move this country forward does not necessarily sit in Parliament. It sits on the streets, in the bus systems that we have, and we hear from those people, and that's why we could move it. Now, oftentimes, those ideas have always been rejected. And what is sad is that even though those ideas that are accepted are not accepted from the Bahamian, it's accepted from when you have a consultant come in from abroad and to do that. But one of the things I want to say before we go, Steve, is that we have a public transportation system that seems that they cannot fix it. We will fix that within 90 days. It'll be fixed. Fixed, you hear me? And we would have solar buses as well. Solar buses running on solar. Because this is the new Bahamas. This country must lead at every aspect. We must lead in terms of being in the forefront of global warming, because we are most vulnerable. We are the most vulnerable country. And these are things that we will do. We will make sure that these things are done, that homes have the capacity to have this alternative energy. It'll be a mandate. I visited the city in Abu Dhabi, I believe, just outside Abu Dhabi. And this whole city is alternative energy. So I drove in electric cars. All the lighting is done by alternative solar. We live in a country where we have 365 days of it. And even when I go to countries like Germany and I see the solar panels on rooftops, I'm wondering, how do they get sun? Because it's always gray to me. But they have it. But we are not serious. And this is what we're saying. We need a 180-degree shift. We believe that the people's movement is that shift.
We're going to leave it there. John, you
Yeah,
want to say?
we certainly going to explore different avenues as relates to even the transportation system. I believe we have sufficient water. We can run some water ferries.
Absolutely.
You know, from east to west and from south, come back to town. I think we can establish a new industry for public transportation and the water ferries. Certainly, we've been hearing people. We listen to people. We talk to people, and people give bright ideas. Some of them have all the answers. We just need the packages. So all the thing about being able to establish cheaper energy and cheaper sources of energies, better disposal of your garbage and all them sort of things. We hear you. These ideas are your ideas that we're going to package and present back to you in a more systematic way that is functionable, that can work. We hear about these different cities that needs to be established, make in different cities in the Bahamas. We hear you. We see what's happening with the Carmichael community. We can duplicate that in other areas. We hear you, and we're just using the necessary information to fashion it and package it in a way that we can get you to accept it and critique it and, you know, whatever is necessary to implement it.
Harnessing the ideas of a people whose time has come. It's the people's movement, and that's what it's all about. It is not an idea of Paul or John or anyone else. What it is a combination of ideas that has come to the fore on a movement of the people who want to see it implemented. And that's what they're doing. The people's movement with me today on the show.
Steve, just before you wrap up, let me just also once again encourage Bahamians, please, in the name of Jesus, if you're 18 or go and register to vote and look at something new. So if you don't register, you can't vote, you can't bring about change. You must register and vote for who you think is going to present something in the best interest of your country. So please, I want to encourage you. Please vote. Take your passport. Those who are voting for the first time or registering for the first time, or those of you who have registered before, you need to take your old registration card with you. But it's safer to take your passport. Take your passport. Please register to vote. You must register to vote. And we hope that as a result of tomorrow, Black Friday and March, that will encourage more Bahamians to register so that we can do it as best when the time comes for a general election.
Our show tonight has been brought to you by Devanya's Spices and Manufacturing Limited, BTC, this is BTC Country, Sunburst Paints, Commonwealth Bank, Cybertech Career College, Easy Life, Bahamian Brewery and Beverages, Galena Insurance, Superwash, Bank of the Bahamas, Super Value, Advantage Insurance and Brokers, Ron's Electric Motors, Galena Financial Advisors Limited, CFAL, Executive Printers, the Ari Cooper Awards Banquet, and the McKinney Media Group for the best results in advertisements. Tomorrow is Black Friday. It is the march. It has different meanings for different people. In the Bahamas, it is not about shopping and looking for the best deals in town. It is about trying to find the best deal in town for a people who need good governance. And that is what they're about to do. They're in search of leadership. And tomorrow will be a serious, sober day for a lot of people, especially those who will be on the outside looking in and say, my Lord, are we this disconnected to the Bahamian people? Because they seem to be all set to be coming from the north, the south, the east, and the west, and converging in the Parliament Square. That's quite interesting. But you've got to have nerve. And if you have nerve, you will stand. Good night.
This song is for everybody that's been feeling a little bit low. Would you help us out on this song? Come just a little bit closer. Here we go.
Just keep holding on. Stay strong. And don't let go. Stay strong. Nothing can break this bond. Stay strong. Stand on and on. Stay strong. Just keep holding on. Stay strong. And don't let go. Stay strong. Nothing can break this bond. Stay strong. Stand on and on. I've never been filthy rich. I've never been low down poor. We've had our share of problems, but now we're happy for sure. Stand in the end, you'll still be you. One that's done all the things you set out to do. Stand, there's a cross for you to bear. Things to go through if you're going anywhere. Stand for the things you know are right. It's the truth that the truth makes him so alive. Stand for the things you want are real. You have you to complete, and there is no deal.